What's happening, diligent practicers? Trumpeter Bobby Spellman here. And as I am sure you are aware by now, the trumpet is an unforgiving beast of an instrument. And as musical athletes, it is expected that we will practice, if not every day, almost every day, in order to maintain our chops, maintain our endurance, range, and tone on the instrument. However, sometimes life throws you a curveball and you don't have access to the trumpet for a little while. Perhaps, for example, your trumpet was run over by a motorcycle or trampled by a stampede of wildebeest. Perhaps you have to have your wisdom teeth removed or some other kind of grisly oral surgery, and you won't be able to play trumpet for a little while because of the pressure in your mouth. Or perhaps, more commonly, you are going on vacation with your family for a week and you're not able to take your trumpet with you. Now, in those instances, there are a couple of exercises that you can do to replicate the act of practicing and make sure that you're not going to be a sloppy mess when you return to the horn. So we're going to talk about a couple of tips for practicing trumpet without the trumpet on this episode of Trumpet with Bob. Alright, so your horn's in the shop for a couple of weeks after that wildebeest incident, or you're traipsing through the Amazon rainforest with your family trumpetless, and you're saying to yourself, how am I going to keep my chops in shape until the next time I can get on the horn? First thing I would recommend doing is free buzzing. Now, this is a big help in general, but it's especially useful if you don't have a trumpet on hand. Now, I'll tell you a quick story. Yesterday, I was playing a big band gig in Brooklyn. We had a 2-hour rehearsal before the gig, and then a sound check, and then the gig, and it was a lot of playing. And earlier in the day, I had to teach, and then I had some other various tasks I had to take care of. And as I was driving to the venue, I realized that I hadn't had a chance to warm up. I had defied my own recommendations, and I knew that I was going to be in trouble if I didn't get a chance to warm up. So, to remedy my situation, I decided to free buzz while I was driving down the street, and I have found it with great results. It was able to warm me up before having to play for several hours after that. So this is also a good emergency warm-up technique, but it's a good thing to do anyway if you don't have the trumpet. Free buzzing goes like this. You're just going to create a tone with your lips. It goes like this. Not very much to it. If you're just going to use it to warm up, that might be all you need to do, is just basically long tones with the free buzz. Now, this could be a little bit irritating. I suppose if you were traipsing through the Amazon rainforest, it might blend into the sounds of the various fauna floating around, but it might be aggravating to your family if you're in a hotel room and you're buzzing like that. Nonetheless, it might be a nice thing to do to just keep your chops sharp, make sure that everything's in place here. A better activity using the free buzzing is to go through and play through scales and exercises of various kinds. So it's a very useful skill to be able to play your scales just on your lips. So that might sound something like this. And of course, that's something that you can do anywhere. Now, in addition to free buzzing, you can use your mouthpiece if you have that on hand. Sometimes I'm not the biggest advocate of mouthpiece buzzing because the nature of playing on the mouthpiece is different than the nature of playing with the mouthpiece on the trumpet. It's a slightly different feel. However, it can be very useful to do, and a lot of people get great results from it. But what I would say is, if you're buzzing on the mouthpiece, my recommendation is to put your hand just a little bit over the back of the mouthpiece in order to replicate the pressure that you get from the rest of the trumpet on there. That'll make it feel more like playing the trumpet. Sometimes when you're just playing the mouthpiece, you can kind of over buzz. You're going to treat your aperture a little bit differently than if you're playing with the whole trumpet on there because of the nature of the back pressure of the instrument. So, my recommendation is put your hand over the back of the mouthpiece a little bit just to give a little extra resistance. And then you can run your scales and various exercises on this. Alright, now whether or not you have the mouthpiece on hand, there is a lot of value in building up or maintaining your orbicularis oris muscles to be able to maintain your endurance in particular when you get back on the horn. Everybody's favorite exercise for this is the pencil exercise. And after doing many videos, I'm surprised I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, but it's a useful one. It's one that a lot of people talk about, and I'm going to give a little demonstration here. So the pencil exercise works to maintain the corners of your lips and make sure that you are maintaining your embouchure even if you're not playing the trumpet. And it goes like this. You take a standard number 2 pencil, Could be anything, I guess. This here is a classic Dixon Ticonderoga number 2. And with one side of the pencil, you're going to hold the pencil with your lips, not with your teeth, but just with the front of your lips here, where your aperture would be. And you're going to try to hold the pencil perpendicular, or parallel rather. Hold the pencil parallel with the ground. It goes like this. Ta-da! That's all there is to it, but you can hold it like that for a little while. Once again, an exercise that you can do anywhere. You might find that over time you can feel a little bit of a burning sensation in your muscles trying to hold that pencil up. But that's a great thing because these muscles that you're often using, obviously, when playing the trumpet. Again, if you hold it with your teeth, you're not doing anything with this exercise, but you want to keep your face engaged, hold the pencil up. You may find over time that this gets very easy, so you can move on to other devices that are similar, like a heavier pen, for example. Or perhaps you could fashion some little weights to put at the end of the pencil to try to give it a little bit extra resistance. Now, there are also many devices that have been made in the last couple of years that serve a similar purpose. For example, I've seen devices made out of metal that you hold with your lips and then add extra pressure by pulling on it, which helps, again, to build up these orbicularis oris muscles. Now, I've never tried any of them. So, if you like them, if you've tried them out and you like them, put them in the comments for everybody. We can check them out. I don't have any experience with those various devices, but serves the same basic purpose. Other mechanical devices that have been designed for this purpose include, for example, a breathing chamber. You get these little breathing chambers. Looks like this right here. I used one of these for a while. You basically blow into the tube and try to keep a ping pong ball suspended inside of the tube, which will help your breathing. Now, that's not as helpful for your muscles, of course, but that is helpful for your breathing. Other devices that have been invented for playing the trumpet without the trumpet include the Sando valves, for example, from Arturo Sandoval and whoever designed that. And that's just the idea of that, is just to have something where you can work on your finger muscles by just pushing down on the sort of fake valves of half a trumpet, or just the valve block of a trumpet. All right, any of this stuff is useful, just keeping your muscles going. But the one that I'm most familiar with, and that I probably use the most, is the simple pencil exercise. If you have a pencil around, that will work. All right, so beyond that, one of the things that's really important about playing the trumpet is ear training and conceptualization of the music that you are playing. So we're going to talk a little bit about just using your mind to practice the instrument without the instrument. And this may be, although it doesn't help your muscles as much, this may be the most helpful thing that you can do. So, in 1996 at the University of Chicago, they did a study on visualization. And it went like this. They took a random assortment of students and they brought them to a basketball gym and had them shoot free throws. And they took down how accurate the free throws were. They had a little, they kept track of how everybody did on the free throws. Then they split that group into 3 groups. The first group was instructed to do nothing for the next month. The second group was instructed to go to the gym every day for 30 minutes and shoot free throws. And the third group was instructed to go to the gym every day for 30 minutes and close their eyes and visualize themselves throwing the free throws. All right, after a month, they went back and had them all throw free throws to see how their accuracy had improved. And the first group that did nothing had no improvement at all in accuracy on the free throws. The second group that was actually practicing shooting the basketball into the net improved by 24%. And then the third group that had just visualized throwing those free throws improved by 23%. So there was only a 1% difference in the increased accuracy of the people who were throwing the basketball and people who were just visualizing throwing the basketball. So that's pretty astounding, but that's something that we can really use as musicians, because even if you're away from the horn, there's nothing preventing you from visualizing the work that you're doing. So one thing that I really like to do is to work out my scales in my head. That's the kind of thing that you can imagine the various fingerings and the notes and whatnot that you need to get from point A to point B. Really think through whatever scales you're working on. So if you're working on new scales, new modes, things of that nature, I often find it very helpful to go through and play through them on my fingers, go through and just sort of mime the fingerings required to get through the scale and try to hear the sound of the scale in my head and visualize what notes I'm playing. In many ways, I feel like that may be as useful as going through and actually playing the scales. Maybe not entirely, because there's a value in, you know, having your muscles work and using your air and all that other stuff, but just in terms of getting the scales under your fingers, that's a really big help. Just going through, working out new scales just on your fingers and really imagining what they look like in your head and trying to get that together. I find myself often improvising with different scales while I'm doing other things, just on my fingers, and just coming up with ideas in my head that I'm then working on my fingers. I think there's a lot of value in the visualization of the music, and I think when you then get back on the horn, that all is going to be helpful to you. Now, on top of that, you can also read through music you're working on and visualize yourself playing through the music. Go through and just finger through the music, try to get a sense for the time and the rhythms and various things of that nature. Just going through conceptually and thinking through the music you're going to play is going to be a big help in preparing yourself to play that music once you get the trumpet back on your face. All right, and this leads us to the final point, which is a combination of ear training and listening. So one thing that I probably should talk about more on this channel is the importance of ear training as a trumpet player. As trumpet players, what we always say is if you can't hear it, you can't play it. So there's really a lot of value in doing ear training exercises to make sure that you're going to be able to anticipate what you're playing and hear it in your head before it actually comes out of your horn. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can sit down at the piano and practice singing intervals, for example. You can practice singing triads and various chord structures. You could get an app and work out some ear training exercises in the app, whether that be intervals or going through different chords, identifying chords, things of that nature. I need to do an entire video on ear training, but you get the deal. There's all kinds of stuff out there that you can do to improve your ears. And then on top of that, and perhaps as importantly, listening to music is a huge part of developing your vocabulary, whether as an improviser or as a composer, or even as just a trumpet player. You know, you want to absorb the sound of other people's playing. Great trumpet players will inspire you and give you a sense for the nature of the way that the instrument can be played, the tone that you're going for, certain things like vibrato and phrasing and style of various kinds. There's no substitute for just listening to great musicians playing. So, if you're working on a piece of classical music, for example, find a great recording of one of your favorite trumpet players playing it and really sit down and listen to and really try to actively absorb the way that they play that music. That may be one of the things that's most helpful is to go through and actually sing it, be able to sing the piece. So if you're sitting around, you don't have your trumpet, but you do have some music that you're working on, go through and try to sing through it and think about the way that you would play it if you were playing it on the trumpet. If you're working on improvisation, this is a really great thing to do, regardless of whether you have the trumpet on hand or not. What I always advocate is going through and memorizing a whole solo. So you could listen to one of your favorite trumpet players on one of your favorite tunes, whatever you happen to be working on at the time, and listen to it enough, really actively listen to it, absorb the solo, and then try to be able to sing the solo first with the recording and then away from the recording. Now, in the process of this, you're developing your vocabulary, you're developing your sense of style and your sense of timing and everything else internally, and you're getting it in your head so that when you get the trumpet back and you can put the trumpet on your face, you've already got this music floating around in your brain, and your job is then just to condition your muscles to be able to get that music out of the horn. All right, gang, so there's a couple of tips for what to do if you don't have a trumpet on hand and you have to practice. Free buzzing or buzzing with the mouthpiece is a big help. The pencil exercise, of course, building up those muscles. Any kind of devices that you want to try out, various breathing exercises, anything in which you can put a little pressure on those muscles. And then, of course, visualizing scales or pieces that you're working on and ear training. All will do great work in preparing you to then pick up the trumpet again and be able to play and work this stuff out in a conventional setting. All right, gang, I hope that helps in your time away from the horn. I hope that helps keep your chops up so that you're on point when you get back and you're having a good time playing. If you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos on trumpet and jazz and improvisation and composition and various things of that nature. And I hope you have a wonderful time practicing this stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya! Alright, gang, thanks so much for checking out this video. We hope it helps in your quest for the majesty of musical self-expression. The Ridgewood School of Music is currently accepting new students for lessons online or in person in the Brooklyn, Queens, and New York City area. If you'd like us to help set you up with the perfect teacher for the instrument or style that you're interested in studying, you can find us on our website at www.ridgewoodschoolofmusic.com, or you can shoot us an email at ridgewoodschoolofmusic@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to support the creation of new videos like this one, you can find us on our Patreon at patreon.com/Ridgewood School of Music. There, as a subscriber to the Patreon, you can gain access to bonus content, including bonus videos, exercises in improvisation and different instruments, as well as bonus transcription videos. So, if you'd like to help support the creation of new videos like this one, find us on our Patreon, and it's a real big help. All right, gang, have a wonderful time practicing, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.